How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, aka Slammerella. And since the Metalhead box isn't here today, and I was really hoping it was, we're going to do a horror movies to watch or avoid episode, since I got a nice fat stack to kind of go over with you guys. So, the first one is a sequel to the most recent version of the It series, and that is Chapter 2. Mostly as good as the first chapter. I still like the first chapter a little better than this one. There is some pretty crazy, like, clown, it, monster effects going on with this. The ending, well, we all know Stephen King doesn't know how to write endings, and clearly the director of this couldn't do any better. So all in all, it's a mostly good film. You've probably seen it by now, and leave your thoughts in the comments below for sure. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Can't wait to see what they do for the third It chapter. Apparently it's going to be a prequel taking place back in like the early 1800s or something, back in the old Western times before Derry was really settled as Derry, and maybe get to see the first versions of what it presented itself as before it became the clown. So yeah, all right, and I'm glad we have it in our collection just to kind of be a completionist type of deal. So chapter 2 obviously going along with chapter 1. I don't know what else to really say about it, but it is a pretty good modern film take on the Stephen King It series book. But yeah, 7.5 out of 10, not bad. All right, the next one is a movie called The Ascent. Very interesting front cover there. And it says it's from the executive producers of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Day of the Dead. This is a really weird movie. It is a bunch of things going on at once. There's a possession that happens in this. The dad in this also suffers from some sort of like schizophrenic hallucinations. So he sees like demons and shit coming at him and weird visions of stuff. And I think he's like an ex-junkie of some sort as well. But not only is he an ex-junkie that has weird hallucinations and his son might be possessed, there's also a other couple of things going on in this. There's a lot of weird twists and turns with this movie. It's basically an exorcist type of movie, but also throw in hallucinations and I don't know. There's other things that's going on in this. It's hard to explain without spoiling too much of it. But yeah, basically this ex-junkie dad is trying to get better and take care of his son and rid his home of these demons he thinks is happening. It slowly spirals and spirals into more craziness. So yeah, pretty good. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you're into kind of supernatural horror or exorcism type of films. Let's give it an 8 out of 10. Next is, I don't know how horrific you might think this is, but this is the Are You Afraid of the Dark movie, limited series, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's interesting. It has part 1, 2, and 3 in it. So I guess it's like a series. I don't know. To me, it seems like a big movie split into 3 parts. First one being submitted for approval. Part 2, opening night. And part 3, destroy all top hats. Essentially, there is this new girl that is trying to get into the Midnight Society. The kids that sit around the campfire and tell spooky stories. And some supernatural event has actually come to their town and starts taking over the town and people there, and different weird supernatural things start happening, and the group isn't quite sure if it's just all in the new girl's head or if things are actually going on, and they slowly have to piece together what's going on with like this dark carnival thing that's going on. It's pretty interesting. It's not really horrific. There's some kind of horror tropes and some kind of spooky stuff that goes on, but nothing too horrific, nothing too crazy. It's a nice kind of medium spooky ride for those in the horror genre that really can't take too much gore or too much intense blood or violence or anything like that. So if you have a partner that's squeamish and not really into horror, they might actually enjoy this, and this might help you ease them into the horror genre. But all in all, I thought this was pretty good. Also an 8 out of 10. Definitely worth getting if you don't mind a little bit of cheesy, campy horror. Also, it's classic. It's Are You Afraid of the Dark? Speaking of campy, classic horror that's not really all that horror related, this is more horror comedy, but I had to get it. I like Michael J. Fox, and this came as a double feature. So this is Teen Wolf 1 and 2. Obviously, the first one is probably the better one and the classic one that if you've seen it, you've probably seen. I don't think too many people have seen Teen Wolf 2. Unless you have, let me know. I didn't even know there was a part 2 until I saw this double pack. So, yeah. Anyways, Michael J. Fox basically discovers during puberty that he's also part werewolf, and he comes from a line of werewolves in his family, and it gives him kind of popular credit with his classmates and stuff, and allows him to excel at his basketball team and makes him kind of like the school mascot, and he gets up to some hijinks and here and there. It's interesting. It's old, it's dated for sure and campy. But if you're into horror and you like kind of that classic old-timey feeling, feel-good horror comedies, this will do it for you. And you'll get to see Teen Wolf 2 with Jason Bateman. That was weird. Jason Bateman is definitely not someone I would think to be in a horror movie or a horror comedy even. He just seems like that kind of really cheesy, not really all that funny teen comedy type of dude, like maybe the dad or the uncle or something. I don't know. Just Jason Bateman does not strike me as the type to be in a movie like this. So the second movie was kind of weird. He's apparently the cousin of Michael J. Fox's character in the first one, and instead of being in high school, it's in university or college. But yeah, all right, 7 out of 10, I guess. All right, next is something that I've been wanting to get for a little bit now. I haven't been really seeking it out too hard, but once I realized that Five Nights at Freddy's was kind of getting a movie in the near future, 2021, or starting to film then, and I heard that there was a movie that's sort of like that out there already, I'm like, oh shit, I think I'll go try and find it. And we got it for not too bad of a price. I think it was only $10 or something. I'm not sure if it was at Walmart or the local Deja Vu Discs, but yeah. This is the Banana Splits. Now, the most memorable thing off of this was probably the Banana Splits theme song that happens throughout this. But yeah, all those stuffed animatronics are just kind of robots that this weird mad professor kind of guy in the basement of the studio created and kind of gave them semi AI, but not really. This is kind of like a kind of cheesy horror film that has elements of what Five Nights at Freddy's might eventually be. Hopefully the Five Nights at Freddy's movie will be way better than this. But this is good for what it is. And basically these animatronics, the Banana Splits, gets told that they're being canceled, and it's like one of their last nights there. And some of the fans and the kids that end up going and seeing the show get stuck at the studio overnight, and basically the Banana Splits start terrorizing the kids and the janitor and the security guards and the agents and stuff, and killing them in different unique ways, make them fall into ball pits full of acid, and like rip off their arms and legs and stick a hatchet in the back of their head and electrocute them and a bunch of crazy stuff. There's a pretty interesting few gory kills in this for sure, but it's not super duper amazing acting, and some of it's just kind of really cheesy. But with that being said, I actually really enjoyed the Banana Splits movie. And there's a behind the horror special feature, I guess, documentary thing or making of. So that's interesting to see how they did that. If you are a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's and you want a kind of tease of what that might be, check out the Banana Splits movie. I don't know, this says 2019, but I feel like it came out before then. Definitely check it out. Pretty good. I'd say 8 out of 10. Really, really cheesy, but enjoyable. All right, let's get on with some classic fucking horror. This was really, really boring and slow, and I lost a lot of interest in this as a kid because I couldn't really follow too much of it. And there's a lot of scenes that when my parents would show the movie, they'd skip forward or try to like cover my eyes or whatever. So basically 70% of this movie was skipped or boring. But rewatching it as an adult, the Candyman, the original Candyman movie, this was great. This was actually really, really good. Yes, there are still some slow parts in it, but the lore building and the backstory and the character development, way more appreciative now as an adult, and I could definitely enjoy it a lot more. And then there's the dynamic between, I'm gonna call her Annie, that's probably not her name, but then her husband, that shit starts going awry, and you're like, oh wow, that is a fucked up thing to do to your partner. And wow. All right, her name isn't Annie, it's Helen. But yeah, wow, there's a lot more going on in this film than I remembered as a kid. Obviously, can't wait to see the new, is it Jordan Peele, the new Candyman that's coming in a year or so? Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I need to track down the other two Candyman movies. Day of the Dead and Farewell to the Flesh, I think, are the other two. But yeah, I definitely want to get the trilogy now, especially with the new one coming. Really, really good. 8.5 out of 10. All right, let's keep on going with classics. This one I've been wanting to get my hands on for at least 4 or 5 years, and then especially since that one movie, the water movie, Underwater, the Deep, I don't fucking remember what the hell that thing was called. All right, I looked, I can't find it. Anyways, what I'm talking about is Creature from the Black Lagoon. Finally got a copy of the Universal Monsters Horror Collection character, one of my favorite ones. Yeah, for black and white, this was actually a really, really good movie. There's some boring parts, obviously, because of how old the damn thing is, but the creature effects is really cool. Some of the character dynamics between the captain and the researcher is kind of funny. They like squabble back and forth, and then their like little fight below deck is ridiculous and funny. And then the monster basically, whenever he gets near something, just fucks it up and destroys the shit out of it. Yeah, it's pretty good. The sequels, Return of the Creature and whatever the other one's called, I looked up on YouTube and kind of watched reviews of them and some clips. I don't know, they don't really seem like the greatest. I was more interested in the original Creature from the Black Lagoon. But yeah, it was good. I definitely have to give this a 8 out of 10 for a classic monsters movie, and I'm super stoked that it's finally in my collection. Hell yeah. If you haven't seen the Creature from the Black Lagoon and you're a horror fan, you're definitely missing out on some classic Universal Monsters stuff. They had the full Universal Monsters box set with all of the Dracula, all of the Mummy, all of the Frankenstein, and all 3 creature movies for like $100 at Walmart. And I didn't have the money at the time, but I'd love to eventually get that box set. I will deal with just having this for now. Really, really cool. And I recently just got the Monster Squad, so I'm going to be watching that with the wife soon. That also has the Creature from the Black Lagoon in it, technically. So, yep, one of my favorite Universal Horror Monsters characters. Hopefully they do more with that character in the future, because they just got finished doing like another Mummy with Tom Cruise and an Invisible Man with James 1L as the producer and director or whatever of that. So hopefully they do another Creature from the Black Lagoon movie soon, in the next 2 or 3 years moving forward. Hopefully they build up that, Universal's dark universe of horror movie characters again, really shine some modern day technology and cool effects, and hopefully have a good story and character building with it. I really hope they can nail it and not just be super shitty, forgettable movies. All right, so the next one is a movie that kind of divided a lot of fans. It could have basically just been its own movie without the name, but I guess the studios decided to throw on the name Child's Play at the last moment. And what I'm talking about is the 2019 Child's Play reboot, remake, whatever. The one that had Mark Hamill voicing Chucky instead of Brad Dourif. Although, I gotta say, it might not have got enough recognition if they didn't put the Child's Play name on it and name the doll Chucky. So, in that regards, I'm glad that they did go that way so that more people did go and check this movie out, because it was a good movie. You just had to kind of get over the new design of what Chucky looked like in this, and you kind of had to get over it not being Brad Dourif's voice. But for me, it was a pretty quick thing to get over. Like, I got over the design of the doll pretty quickly, and in fact, I feel like it's a lot creepier than the original Chucky doll design. And I feel like getting over Brad Dourif not being the voice of Chucky was easy to get over too. Mark Hamill does a great villainous, evil voice anyways, so having him be the voice of this Chucky worked for me. I know it's not like a supernatural possession film where the soul of a serial killer gets put into a doll and then that's what terrorizes people. This is more of a modern digital age take, and the AI of the doll goes a little wrong. It starts learning in a really bad way. The kids that the main character hangs out with are definitely not the greatest influence. They're watching horror movies and they're laughing at the characters on screen being stabbed and killed in horrible ways. So Chucky thinks, oh, that's how I can make my, masters and friends happy, by doing this horror stuff and stabbing people, and they'll laugh at it. But that's not how things go. Anyways, I think it's a really cool take on the Child's Play series character, Chucky, but obviously this could have been its own non-Child's Play and Chucky related film. It just wouldn't have got the amount of attention otherwise. So you kind of got to take it for what it is. Like, this would have been a really, really good movie without the name and brand attached to it, but not as many people would have seen it. So yeah. Also, the mom in this is hella hot. So there's that too. But yeah, all in all, I thought this was a really good reimagining, and I enjoyed the AI gone wrong version of Chucky, and I liked Mark Hamill's voice. It worked well for me, and I can put aside that it wasn't Brad Dourif, and I can put aside that it wasn't the old design. What did you think of the 2019 Child's Play film? Could you easily get over the redesign, and could you get over that it wasn't Brad Dourif? Did you like the kills and story that was in this? I really enjoyed it. So let me know what you think of the kind of reboot, reimagining of Child's Play. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I actually really liked it. All right, and the last thing is a weird hybrid of horror and comic book movie. The only one that I really feel like exists, except for maybe the Blade movies, were the only thing that mixed horror and comic book that directly. Let me know in the comment section. I'm sure I'm wrong, but that's the only thing that's popping up in my head. So anyways, this is what I'm talking about. The New Mutants. This was released last year. I actually really, really enjoy this movie. It sucks that we won't be seeing part 2 and part 3, because this was supposed to be a trilogy at one point. I'd love to see the further dynamic and evolution of the Rain character and the Moon character. Anya Taylor-Joy's character had a somewhat of a slight character arc in this. She went from being this moody, bitchy, Mean Girls type of character to this slightly sympathetic character at the end, when you realize that the smiley man might have been referencing her, you know, possibly being sexually mistreated as a child, let's say. So that kind of gave you a little bit of empathy towards her and why she might be a snooty little brat now. But I don't know, her character's power was cool, but the way her character acted throughout this wasn't the greatest. I really liked Maisie Williams' character the most. I liked her character and her arc throughout this. I don't know if there's really an arc per se, but I liked what happened storyline wise with her. The Moon character's okay. The two guy characters in this, though, kind of lame. There's like a horror-y, creepy part involving a swimming pool in this that's kind of like, oh, okay, yikes, wow, for like a second. But other than that, the guy character's story within this film was kind of, I could care less. Also, aesthetically, this cover for the DVD looks like shit. Like, it's faded. It looks like it's been in the sun for like weeks, and it kind of looks like one of those bootlegs you'd get from like a local convenience store. Like, what the fuck? Just put the black cover with that yellow logo on it, the New Mutants, and that'd be way better. The back looks good. Like, that looks like a legit X-Men type of like back graphic, but the front, oh my god, why? What marketing team said that looks great and not like a $2 bootleg printout for a cover of a DVD? Wow. Anyways, this movie definitely could have used at least another half an hour worth of footage and character development on the guys section, and a little bit more on the Anya Taylor-Joy section. But yeah, there definitely needs to be a little bit more backstory. There definitely needs to be more character like development being flushed out in this. I just wish there was more of this movie to see, and there's no special features, especially on the DVD only version. So that kind of sucks. And it really sucks that we're not going to see part 2 and 3. I really enjoyed this movie, regardless of the issues it had, studio-wise and director-wise, and merging into Disney. Just all of the things that fucked this movie over. It was still pretty damn good, considering I recommend still seeing it. If there's a theater out there and you're not under lockdown, go watch the damn thing and support it. I still really enjoy it. Still give it a pretty high 8.5 out of 10. Can't remember what my review was, but I'm going to say 8.5 out of 10. So, yeah, that's it. That is my stack of horror movies to watch or avoid. No real, like, avoiders in this one, except maybe some of the campy stuff if you're not into campy, cheesy kind of horror comedy stuff, or, like, YA, young adult, teen type of stuff, like the Are You Afraid of the Dark? But that was still enjoyable, still appealed to the kid in me. Let me know if you've seen any of these. Let me know which one of these films that I showed off is your favorite out of this stack. And that's it. For Glory, for the Rebellion, Slammerella out.